And so I think the biggest pivotal moment for me, and I alluded to it earlier, was coming home one day and just dropping to the floor out of sheer exhaustion, overwhelm, and what I felt was burnout. And just realizing that I felt like I was failing everyone. On paper, everything looked great. C-level title, beautiful family, great job, like everything seemed perfect. But on the inside, I was dying. I felt like I was failing everyone.
Welcome to A Founder's Life. I'm your host, Leo Gestetner. On this show, we dive into the real stories behind the highs and lows of entrepreneurship and how we pursue a more balanced and meaningful life along the way. This podcast is sponsored by Thankz, helping founders like us scale with reliable remote talent. Email founders@thankz.com, that's THANKZ.com, with the subject line, A Founder's Life, and you'll receive $1,000 off your first month. I'm excited today to be joined by CJ. CJ, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is CJ Stasik. I am an empowerment coach with a brand that I created. She handles it. I work primarily with individuals that are in transition. So think about things like divorce, job loss, job change, burnout, being just unhappy and feeling stuck. We work together to really kind of bring back a life filled with joy so it looks just as good as it feels.
Love that. And I love the brand. I think it's a great branding.
Thank you.
Talk to us a little bit about both the journey that brought you to where you are today, and then a little more about how you really help your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So I come from a place of experience. So I have always had in the back of my mind this kind of need to climb the corporate ladder as a way of becoming successful. It was kind of something that just somehow got taught to me as a young child. And so for the majority of my career, that was really what my goal was to climb the corporate ladder, get a job, stay with that job, work my way up. And so as time went on, I really reached my own point where I felt so disconnected. I felt disconnected from my work. I felt disconnected from my family, from my children. And I really just kind of felt like I was failing everyone. So when I founded She Handles It, it was in time. No surprise there during the beginning of COVID. I think many of us kind of had a moment where we started to question kind of who we are or what we were doing. And for me, it just kind of came as a floor on the moment, dropping a set of grocery bags, crying my eyes out because I just could not handle the feeling of failure. On paper, everything looked amazing. But when you really dug down to it, my marriage was failing. I was struggling with guilt when it came to leaving the office to take care of my family or not being able to be with my son because I needed to be at work. And so everything was just kind of falling apart. So long story short, I started She Handles It as an outlet, a way for me to say, okay, now I'm going to figure out a way to balance my life. Today, I don't believe in balance, but that's a whole nother story. But at that point, I really wanted to go down this journey of self-awakening and trying to uncover why I felt the way that I did. I started with blogs, that led to small speaking engagements, which led to workshops, which then led to coaching. And so what I do inside of the coaching is I take my experiences, the things that I've learned. So whether it was a toxic job and how I worked through that, whether it was a toxic boss and how I overcame that, my mindset being primary, the issue that I had to uncover. Because what I really realized and what I do with my clients is I help them get out of their own way. It wasn't my job that was the problem. It wasn't my responsibilities at home. It wasn't my spouse that was the problem. It was my mindset. And it was all the roles and responsibilities that I was assuming that I needed to take on. And so then I became resentful because I had no help. But I told everybody I could do it all. You push the village away. And so my job now is to help women primarily, but any individual really suffering from burnout or just feeling stuck to get out of their own way. Understand our real obstacles versus perceived obstacles, understand where our mindset's holding us back, and get back to a version of ourselves that we can feel good about.
I love that. It's again like very succinct. You got a definite purpose there. Tell us a little more about family. You mentioned a little bit there, but tell us a little more about what family means to you.
Yeah, so family has always been incredibly important. And oddly enough, when I was fairly young, I left home. I started just taking care of myself right out of high school. I was one, I would say lucky today, but I wouldn't say lucky back then. But I had to fly on my own. I had to learn how to navigate. And so now today, family is incredibly important to me because I so very quickly flew the nest, walked away from my family. I now live thousands of miles away. I'm the only member of my family that doesn't live in the state of Florida. I'm here in Pennsylvania. And so when I started my family, even in a marriage that was very difficult, I latched on. I wanted to build that family. I wanted to be the best wife I could be, the best mother that I could be. And fast forward to today, I am now in a marriage in which I can tell you I have found my true soulmate. We are so connected. We are on so much on the same page with everything. And we do put our family first. And we integrate our work and our professional lives in a way that allows me to show up the right way in all aspects of my life. I no longer feel guilty cooking dinner at 6 o'clock because I'm not online and answering emails. I no longer feel like I'm leaving my children when I do have to go to an event like I have, tomorrow. My husband can pick up that slack and, we're a team. And so that feels really, really good. I'm able to support my children in a way that's authentic to me. And I'm also able to support my spouse and still have the type of career that I want to have now that it's more integrated.
And what does health look like for you?
Oh my gosh, it's mental health, it's spiritual health, it's physical health. I am like all encompassing. Just to kind of give you an example, I start every single day with yoga. I want to move my body, but I want to move it intentionally. I end every morning routine with meditation. And then I'll just show you, I have these tiny little Buddhas everywhere that just remind me to think about what I'm grateful for, because I do believe that our mind, our body, and our souls all have to be healthy in order for us to live a healthy life. And so I build those little things in. Journaling is wonderful, but let's face it, not everyone every single day wakes up and is able to sit down and journal, whether it's getting your children off to school, no matter what it is. So the little Buddhas just remind me to take care of that version of myself. The yoga gives me the opportunity to work out really hard, or if my body needs it, to work out a little bit more restfully, more intentionally, more restorative, or whatever the case may be. So I like to, intertwine it all together, but I'm a very active person. I think when you and I first spoke, we talk about it. I'm hiking, I'm kayaking, like I am an outside person, and nature fills my soul. And so when we talk about being healthy, body, mind, and soul, nature is one of the best places that all three of those can happen at the same exact time. And so it's amazing. But yes, it's one of the core things that keeps me going today.
I'm so on the same page there, I think, both in terms of body, mind, and soul, and in terms of nature. It wasn't till I left London that I realized how much I need nature, I need sun, I can't
Even
be in that sort of
Yeah, even
cloudy.
grounding. Yeah, grounding is like one of those. My daughter's 9 years old, and I told the story not too long ago, but homework was always really tough for her. She's a great student. She's super smart. But once she leaves the schoolhouse, it's like school's over. And so getting to do homework was a very difficult thing. Like she's ADHD, so her brain is always going. And so we're able to say, instead of getting frustrated and becoming impatient, the old version, CJ 1.0, who would be ready to just scream and, and be really frustrated. I'm like, hey, let's just take a break. Let's go outside. We both go out barefoot. And within 5 minutes, her mood is completely different. So I challenge anyone who does not believe in the healing power of nature, just take that opportunity with a young child who's throwing a tantrum or kind of having difficult time regulating their emotions. Just go outside barefoot, give them a few minutes, and you'll see that drastic change. And now when we're having trouble with homework, that's what we do. And so I'm able to teach her those things that have helped me as an adult. It's like you said, we need sunshine. We need to, we need to feel the air. We need to feel the grass, or the earth beneath our toes. All of that is how we were intended to be as human beings. So getting back to that is a core for emotional regulation.
Makes complete sense. And what do you like to do for fun?
Hiking, kayaking. And actually we are, my husband and I were turning our property into a small farmstead. So we have chickens, and just very recently we brought 2 goats home. So we enjoy spending time on the property, cleaning it, putting it all together, and kind of joking and talking about, what's going to be next. So all of the farm animals all have names that are starting with G. So I've got 2 chickens. and 2 goats. And we're like, "Hey, we got the 4 Gs." And so now the next thing that we're planning for is potentially miniature donkeys. And so we've got the names all in order. So it's fun, and it keeps us active because we're outside, and it just brings me back to my roots, which also feels good.
And are they outdoors all year round?
They are. Yeah. So they're outdoors, but we've got heat lamps. It's okay. I know we're in an area that gets cold, but yeah, we have heat lamps that are inside the coop and inside the goat shed and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, they're outside, but they are definitely pets. I mean, my chickens run to me because they want to be picked up, they want to be cuddled, and now the goats are fairly new and they're getting into that same routine. So it's just really nice. I grew up on a ranch and now I live outside of Philadelphia, so I'm able to show my kids both the hustle of city life and kind of the pace and the ability to make money and choose careers, that work for you, but then also bring them back to how I was raised and being in touch with nature and animals. So it's just, as a mom, it feels like such a huge win to be able to do that for my kids.
Now, I know you don't believe in balance, but my definition of balance is really that center line. So it's when I say, what does a balanced life look for you? It's not a permanently in balance, because none of us are permanently in balance. But it's overall, what does a balanced life look like for you? Or whatever definition you want to give it.
Yeah. So I think when we spoke before, I told you like my idea of balance is more of an integration. So I believe that there are seasons in our lives, and some seasons we need to be more present as a parent. Some seasons we need to be more present as a spouse, and other seasons we need to be more present within our career. And so what balance looks like for me is that ability. The ability to say, I'm not going to be able to spend 10 hours today in front of my computer because my husband is going through something and I need to be able to support them. Or I need to be able to end my day today at 2 p.m. because my daughter has a swim meet and I want to be able to get there early. And so that's what balance feels like for me, is that I don't have the pressure, I don't have the guilt, I don't have the stress of not being able to be present in whatever area of my life I need to be present in. And let's face it, there is a season for everything. There is a time in our lives where we do have to hustle, where our career takes number one priority. Everything else has to take the back seat. But for me, that was in my 20s. That's not now in my 40s, right? And then there's also a season in our life where we have to be more present with our children. And so for me, that balance is being able to have a career that allows me to do that, having a spouse that allows me to do that, and having children that I can communicate with that understand when and when not mama can be present. And so all of that creates the balance that people are looking for. It just doesn't look, like you said, like equal time. There is no, 3 equal parts of the pie. Like, again, sometimes I need to be more of a mom, and sometimes I need to be more of the empowerment coach, and sometimes I need to be more of the spouse to help pick up slack if my husband is busy or has things going on.
Certainly, under my definition of a balanced life, it sounds to me like you have a very balanced life.
You know what? I am trying. I refuse to not have it. And I think that's the difference. And that's where I'm at with She Handles It, is being able to help people realize that you get to make that choice. It doesn't matter what society has told you, what your parents taught you, what teachers have taught you, what your bosses have said. You get the right to choose. And if something isn't working for you, you have to accept what is, but it doesn't mean you have to stick with it. You get the opportunity to say, I am no longer comfortable with this part of me. I'm going to start taking steps and actions to change that so that I can have a life that feels balanced.
I think it's also, it's deciding what you want today, what you want tomorrow. So, looking, for example, the relationship with your kids. To me, it's, are you present today? Are you going to be present tomorrow? If you weren't that present yesterday, last week, last month, because you were just busy with other things, it doesn't actually matter. It matters whether you can change that and be what you want to be.
It's funny that you said that. I just wrote a blog because the other day I picked my daughter up from school and we're in the car. She's talking about her day. We turn on the radio. I just kind of start singing a song. And she was like, Mom, you're always happy. And it caught me off guard because I'm like, wait, what? Like, always happy? Like, definitely not. And then I'm like, holy cow, do we have the ability to suppress memories, right? Because this child has seen me be frustrated. She's seen me go through a divorce. She's seen me have very impatient moments where I've, lost, my control. But yet, that's not the version of me that she's focused on. So just like you said, she's focused on who I am in that present moment and what she's starting to see more on a regular basis. So it's not that she's forgetting that mom lost her temper 2 months ago. It's that it no longer is how she's identifying me as a person, because now I am more intentionally trying to stay present, which means I can't be frustrated and can't be upset because in this moment, everything's fine. In this moment, I'm safe. In this moment, we're just driving in the car. So why would I let what happened yesterday or even what happened 5 hours ago affect my ability to enjoy that conversation with her, let her tell me about the day without being like, oh my God, mom needs 5 minutes. The car needs to be quiet. Like, I don't want to be that mom. And so I'm no longer that mom. And she feels that. And that feels good because I'm changing the future for her by working on myself.
Changing the future for her and changing the future for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And what has been a pivotal moment in your life?
So I think the biggest pivotal moment for my life was when I finally got the courage to step away from something that I knew was not for me anymore. And the word anymore is really, really critical because, like I said, there's always seasons in our life where certain things are needed, lessons to be learned, something to go through. But for me, I stayed in a role for a very, very long time out of a sense of obligation, out of a sense of being afraid to let anybody down, out of a sense of people pleasing, even though I knew and the universe kept telling me time and time again that this was not for me, that there was something different for me, that my purpose laid elsewhere. And so I think the biggest pivotal moment for me, and I alluded to it earlier, was coming home one day and just dropping to the floor out of sheer exhaustion, overwhelm, and what I felt was burnout. And just realizing that I felt like I was failing everyone. On paper, everything looked great. C-level title, beautiful family, great job, like everything seemed perfect. But on the inside, I was dying. I felt like I was failing everyone. And so for me, I had to come to terms with not what other people had done to me or what experiences that I was going through, but more so what I was allowing to happen because it was me. I am the one who gets to draw the boundaries. I am the one that gets to say no. I'm the one that gets to say yes. And so I needed to recognize myself as a people pleaser, as an overproductive person, addicted to task lists. Like I had to go through getting rid of, instead of saying they want me to do this, they are narcissistic, they want me to become this person. It was more like I doing too many things. I am checking off task lists because that's how I validate my worth. So it was that shift in mindset that was that big moment. And then that didn't make me quit my job overnight. Even though I knew the job that I had was not my future job, it wasn't an overnight change. It was a small shift. And that small shift got me to say no to something for the first time. Then that gave me the confidence to say no again or draw a different boundary or try something different. And so every time I took that tiny, bold move, it built courage in me to make a larger one. And so over time, what that did was that gave me the ability to one day wake up and say, I'm ready. I'm ready to take this step. I stepped down as a CEO. I walked away from an almost 13-year career to focus on She Handles It and my coaching practice because that is where alignment was for me. And when you are aligned with what you're supposed to be doing and what lights you up, you don't feel overwhelmed. You don't feel burnout. You can still feel stressed on a heavy day, but you don't feel burnout because you're doing things that make you happy. And that is the biggest difference because you don't feel like you're working. So when people say, do what you love, you never work a day in your life, it's not because you want to get up every morning and go to work. It's because you're doing things that make you're passionate about. You feel joy. Your cup is filled when you are aligned. Therefore, you don't feel overwhelmed. And that's how you have people around you that can do 50 things at one time because they're all aligned. But yet you can have a stay-at-home mom who cries every day because she's miserable. It's not because she's not supposed to be a mother. It's just she probably isn't the best stay-at-home mom because it doesn't light her up. It doesn't bring her joy. There's more for her out there than that.
I think that leads perfectly into my last question, which is, what's one piece of advice you would give to an aspiring entrepreneur?
It is not selfish to put yourself first. And I think that that's the biggest thing is a lot of times we look at self-care as something that we do when we have a time. We look at self-care as something that's just going and getting a massage or getting our hair done or getting our nails done or going out and playing golf. But self-care isn't that. Self-care is giving yourself the ability to have mental clarity, giving yourself the ability to have that well-being of body, mind, and soul. Because when you are aligned and when you are mentally, physically, and spiritually healthy, you don't have the same struggles that you do as when you're not. So, for example, me and my daughter having a car party, singing and listening to music in the car can only happen because I'm present in that moment with her. When I wasn't, it didn't look like that. Instead, it looked like I needed the car to be quiet because my brain was in turmoil. I was still thinking about what I didn't get done that day. So I think my one piece of advice is just remember self-care isn't about being selfish. It is truly about being the best version of yourself so that you can show up as that best version in all the different aspects of your life.
Sounds like great advice. And
Great.
how can people find you?
So they can find me in a couple different places. My website, bw.shehandlesit.com, is an easy way to find out all about the community, all about my coaching. And the blogs are typically pretty funny, so check them out. But I'm also all over social media, so you can look me up under CJ Stasik, and love anyone to join me for any upcoming workshops. So check us out.
Well, CJ, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely, Leo. It's been great. Thank you for having me.
And thanks for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, and leave a review.